today to speak to you about the need to change how we've been educating our youth to use technology more safely in order to reduce the risks of becoming. Historically, cyber education efforts have not focused on different generations' experiences, adoption rates, and understanding of technology, but relied upon a one-size-fits-all solution. Cyber victimization rates, according to a 2022 World Economic Forum report, 95% of cybersecurity issues can be traced to human error. Much of this can be attributed to advanced methods of social engineering that trick people into clicking when they shouldn't, or communicating with bad actors disguised legitimate sources, thereby granting cyber criminals access to our personal and business devices. For example, many who received this communication clicked to find out more, even if they didn't understand Spanish. This website hosted over 5,000 phishing pages. Clicking on this image would download viruses, trojans, ransomware, worms, denial of service, or other malicious malware. We need to find more effective methods to educate people how to be more cautious when using their computers or digital devices. During a recent presentation, I was explaining why smishing has become such a popular medium for cyber criminals and what can be done to prevent being socially engineered into responding to a malicious text. While one attendee in his 20s was ignoring me and typing on his phone, a couple in their 70s were staring at me like I was describing a complex medical procedure. These restrictions made me a one-size-fits-all. Cyber education is not effective across multiple generations, primarily due to varying degrees of familiarity and rates of adoption of technology, depending what each generation has been exposed to throughout their lifetime. Our personal experiences and observations provide valuable life as well as what we learn from those who teach us. However, given the rate of innovations occurring in technology, many of us have difficulty keeping up with these changes, excuse me, understanding the benefits of or knowing how to use new apps or evaluating if there are potential risks when using them. We are faced with the same challenges when surfing the internet, Googling for information, or even when conducting research. Determining the advantages of some innovations in technology are immediately obvious, such as turning on a radio or TV for the first time, or sending a fax. But determining whether to engage in new technology is not always so straightforward. Cyber criminals continue to enjoy low risk, high reward opportunities when committing cyber crimes due to ongoing low rates of detection, arrests, successful prosecution, or receiving severe penalties due to the complexities of conducting cyber investigations. They also know that most people do have advanced knowledge of how technology works, or they could unknowingly place themselves at risk of being victimized by how they use their digital devices and computers. As our children are being introduced to the digital world earlier than ever before, the monitoring of activities of our youth is transitioning to even younger children. As digital devices continue to be available to children in their earliest years, it is imperative that we find more effective ways for parents to educate their children how to use digital devices and computers as safely as possible. A 2022 research study asked parents in the United States when they first introduced their children to a smartphone. 31% started doing so or before age 5, pardon me. How does a 2-year-old or even 5 or 7-year-old about the risk of accidentally accessing illicit websites, possibly by clicking on that delicious cupcake or other enticing images that provide nefarious characters sufficient information to know where that child is located, they will respond to and when they use their smartphone. Each succeeding year, a child will access more apps and websites, providing even more data to those wishing to gather this information. Today, children as early as age 2 and even younger can spend hours on a cell phone or tablet. As they get older, their digital world and connections expand more rapidly than physical encounters with others, extend the hours of usage on their smartphones. How do we effectively educate people at such a young age about how to use technology safely? At such ages, logic and knowing right from wrong is not a reasonable approach. But if we do not find effective methods to communicate to children as they grow up about the need to be careful about what they click on, who they communicate with, and how they surf the internet, leave them open to potential cyber victimization. I've been working with Dr. Robert Cadigan from Boston University, which is my alma mater, to try to ascertain how better educate people that are safe. We believe that a significant effort to doing so requires examining different generations' familiarity, adoption rates, and experiences when using digital technologies. We initially focused on 3 generations: baby boomers, Gen X, and the collective group of millennials, Gen Y, and Gen Next. We are attempting to determine if there's a correlation between their acceptance, adoption, and utilization of technological innovations based on what innovations each generation was exposed to in their formative and later years. This table looks at varying innovations in technology and adoption rates by generation. We divided baby boomers in, as the 51 to 59 age group would have experienced a much greater rate of innovation during their formative years than baby boomers born in the previous 10-year period. Our data shows adoption rates of technology by baby boomers, Gen X's, and millennials steadily increases. As the focus of this conference is on our youth, I want to address Gen Z, or Z, born from 1995 to 2009, and Gen Alpha, born 2010 to 2024. Both generations have experienced technology advancements that dwarf previous generations' exposure to digital innovations. Gen Zs are highly motivated to pursue advanced education, are a try and see group, eager to learn about new technology, and have been labeled screenagers due to their time spent using social media apps and the internet. They tend to want to know how things work and will often take time to investigate new technologies prior to embracing them. They will also welcome if they perceive it is advantageous to do so. Gen Z is considered a true generation of digital prefer to learn through technology, many relying on a multitude of study apps such as Quizlet, Kahoot, and Duolingo. Their main source of information is the internet, making them more inclined to disassociate from or classroom education. They are eager to see providers of software applications as possible for education, personal, and business applications. Because Gen Z spends so much more time digitally connected than previous generations, they're more susceptible to being targeted by cyber criminals due to an increase of information they make available while connected through technology. Over 2.7 million alphas are born each week, so named because they are the first generation to be born entirely in the 21st century. They are a highly social, mobile, and visual generation. No other generation has experienced such rapid advances in technology. Starting in 2010, iPods, 3D printers, electric cars, biometrics, and quantum computing begun replacing analog watches, desktop computers, textbooks, landline phones, and apps such as MySpace being yesterday's news. Gen Alphas are developing into an society as they delve deeper into the avails of the digital universe. Near instant information that is available at their fingertips or through verbal communication with apps is causing a reduction in their attention span, attributable to some degree because answers to important or critical decisions can be obtained in seconds by doing a quick search or simply asking their digital device. This chart shows the technology progression from baby boomers to Gen Alphas. Telling somebody to be cool has morphed to near unintelligible idioms. Preferred modes of transportation have progressed from Ford Mustangs to autonomous vehicles that require no intervention from occupants to get from A to B. Cassettes have been replaced by a digital voice to request our favorite song, same voice we ask to deliver our favorite meal to our front door. And instead of wanting to direct others, Gen Alphas strive to be inspirational. Today, virtual learning is rapidly supplanting structural learning as a preferred way to learn, creating even more challenges for parents to communicate with their children in a one-on-one manner about cyber education. These statistics speak to the extent of digital interaction from childhood as adolescence. The pluses of introducing technology to children at their earliest ages far outweigh the negatives. Denying a child an introduction to the digital world from an early age would inhibit their ability to succeed in a digital society. However, it is imperative to provide children and teenagers with best practices in how they use their digital devices, who they communicate with, and who they shouldn't. Educating our most recent generations about how to use such quickly emerging innovations in a safe manner compared to what one, two, or even three previous generations faced has become more challenging than ever. As children develop up to age 11, they transition from time spent watching television to the use of multiple devices such as laptop computers and personal digital devices. Given their lack of life experiences about potential threats when using digital devices and still learning right from wrong, makes it difficult to convey constructive advice to ensure their cyber safety, considering their inherited dependence being digitally connected throughout the day. Newer generations have become increasingly comfortable with a new species, vastly knowledgeable digital voice. Over 100 million Alexa and 500 million Siri have become our newest residents in our homes and offices, awaiting our every request or demand. But when speaking to our digital device, we really know who is listening, what data is being collected, what is being done with that information, if it's being sold to others for marketing purposes or being hacked by nefarious characters. As Gen Zs, Gen Alphas, and future generations increasingly rely on communicating with their digital devices, we need to become more aware of who is listening and why. We must develop new standards and best practices that can be shared with our youth if we're going to help them become as cyber safe as possible in the ever-advancing digital world. 66% of parents surveyed in the United States stated parenting is harder now than 2 decades ago, with 3 out of 4 of the top reasons related to technology and social media in general, and that technology is giving more access and exposure to children at a younger age. Smartphones, bullying, and cyberbullying, and online predators are the challenges faced by today's parents. Prohibiting children from integrating into the digital world is not conducive to their future development. However, too much interaction with technology can have negative Studies have shown that certain of a child's brain do not develop if they spend too much time on digital devices. Children who take digital devices to bed risk losing precious sleep that is instrumental to mental development. And those who spend excessive amounts of time with digital devices tend to exercise much less. Limiting a young child's time spent on digital devices improve their natural development, promote good health, and reduce their exposure to potential cyber risks. But doing so can result in our youth rebelling against such sage advice, potentially causing them to ignore all warnings and possibly even drive them to want to use their devices even more frequently. With technology becoming more prevalent with each new generation, the question of when to communicate to commence cyber education has become an important decision. How do we strike a balance between digital education, helping children properly develop their skills so they can coexist effectively with others, not only in their own generation, but every generation? There are a number of things we can do for youth become more cyber safe. Cyber education should always be presented as being beneficial and not be perceived by those receiving it as imposing unjust restrictions. Positive reinforcement will produce better results than focusing on negatives. Education can be an enjoyable experience, especially for younger children. Incorporating visual products such as images to make a point can have lasting benefits. Before allowing a child to load a new app, if a new one is on a child's device, parents should investigate the app to understand its purpose and any potential risks that could result from using it. Encourage children to share their digital experiences. Speak with their teachers to find out what apps their students are embracing and why. And always make cyber education a collaborative effort with your children. By showing an interest in what they're doing on their digital devices, they will be more prone to share how they are using them. Newer generations have a high trial ability based on their curiosity about innovations in technology. The greater the perceived value and perceived ease of use, the greater probability they will embrace change. While this applies to all generations, it's even more prevalent with today's youth. Rogers' diffusion of theory posits when evaluating innovation, acceptance and adoption rates are the result of a series of steps. Learning about the innovation, evaluating its worthiness as it pertains to ourselves, performing some form of evaluation, implementing it, assuming we deem it worthwhile to do so, and deciding if we should continue to use it based on our experience of doing so. We need to learn to guide our youth through these decision processes so they can better understand and evaluate what they encounter in the digital world and whether they should use a particular app or frequent certain websites that may not be appropriate to connect with. Rates of technological innovation are increasing at unprecedented pace. Those who grew up in less technologically innovative times are faced with developing more effective ways to educate our youth and future generations to learn how to be as cyber safe, cyber savvy as possible in the rapidly changing digital world. This will require updating existing methods of teaching cyber safety across multiple generations, but most importantly, for our newest and future generations whose need to embrace innovation in the digital is no longer an option, but a requirement. Thankfully, previous generations are increasingly engaged with innovations in technology, and through their experiences and continued learning, we will find more effective ways to educate our youth today and in the future to live a cyber safe and productive digital life. Thank you for inviting me to speak at the conference and taking time to listen to my presentation. If there's time for questions, I'd be happy to answer.